See you. And it's no secret at this point that the grassroots protesters at the Capitol are often funded either directly or indirectly by some George Soros affiliated groups. Now, we've shown you the evidence of that, but for daring to raise this possibility, Senator Chuck Grassley was called an anti-Semite. A New York Times op-ed writer, David Leonhardt, writes, let's be clear here. Charles Grassley is a United States Senator. He's responsible for his words, and his words are here amount to an anti-Semitic smear. Michelle Malkin joins us now with reaction to that craziness and how it's this crazy kind of sometimes mob mentality seems to be taking over politics and certainly Capitol Hill. Michelle, did George Soros have any involvement in the funding of like this, what is it, the Center for Popular Democracy, where the ladies cornered poor old Jeff Flake in the elevator the other day and he looked very scared? Yeah. Were they involved in that?
Yeah, the Center for Popular Democracy is aligned with George Soros's entire network, and he is the sun in the center of a galaxy of these left-wing resistance groups that have morphed over time, whether it was Move On or your previous guest, Medea Benjamin's Code Pink. Now there's a new generation of these groups, and CPD is one of them, along with Code Pink 2.0, Ultraviolet. And it is the protest orchestration, I think, that really needs to be investigated, not only among the funders and the philanthropists that back these professional mobsters, but also the people that they were coordinating with within the Senate Judiciary Committee. It's still not as answered who gave the Senate gallery passes to people like Linda Sarsour and Piper Parabo and these others who from day one, second one, minute one of the hearings were enacting the plan that they have announced ever since Donald Trump won office. And I think that this Senate Democrat wrecking machine is not going to give up after Judge Kavanaugh is nominated and approved tomorrow. They're going to go on all the way through the midterms and 2020. And I think it behooves the right and the conservative movement, Laura, to make sure that we don't leave a vacuum in these spaces.
Yeah, Michelle, you took the words out of my mouth, because you really have to hand it to the left's power to organize. I really give it to them, because they bus people here. They put them up at, local churches. They all print out the same glossy posters. Kavanaugh. That was actually kind of clever, I have to admit. But they get their word out. I mean, and they really did, I think, ultimately delay this vote for a week. They were ultimately not successful, but they dragged this thing out for another week. And look, until the last vote is cast, I'm just going to keep my fingers crossed. Anything can always happen.
Same.
Yeah, everyone needs a taste tester tonight, don't you think, Michelle? Like, everybody should have their food tasted. But
yes,
they did have an effect, and they are cowing some of these more moderate senators. So they ultimately voted for, or they will vote for Kavanaugh.
Yeah, we do need boots on the ground. There are millions of us women, for example, Laura, who feel the same way we do, and you voiced it well in that previous segment, who rely on facts and logic, and who believe, as I do, that we need to believe evidence, not gender, as the default. And, it is hard for these elected officials when they've got screaming, baying mobs of these feminist hounds and nobody on the other side to counter them. And I always hear, of course, from a lot of small business owners and parents and family members on the right, well, we have full-time jobs, so we can't be there. And obviously, on Election Day, they will have a voice and a vote. But, maybe it's time we pay full-time people to answer that and make sure that we are represented on the ground in the Beltway, because it's not going to stop.
Right. There are a lot of conservative businessmen making a ton of money in this economy, this Trump economy. They got to pony up money.
Yes.
I mean, the Democrats are doing it. Steyer's doing it, registering hundreds of thousands of people to vote, including young people, Puerto Rican voters moving to Florida. That's a big deal. And it can't be all on you, Michelle, to pull us over the finish line, all right?
And I want to say one more part of the plan, which is I heard that you're going to move to Alaska and run for Senate against Murkowski. I'm going to move to Hawaii and run against that crazy Mazie Hirono. Right.
That would be fun.
Although I'd rather be in Alaska than Hawaii. You want to trade?
No, I'll do the fly fishing. You can do the surfing down there, Michelle.
Yeah, right.
All right, Michelle, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Historic night here in Washington, D.C. Senate Majority Leader